So now let us look at history of yoga and the rehabilitation of yoga. The history of yoga basically refers to Adi Yogi as the first yogi, Lord Shiva. Rigved has references to Lord Shiva, and Rigved is dated around 21,000 years ago, 21 to 24,000 years ago. The timing of the Ramayana is around 14,000 years ago. The first basic treatise of yoga with references in the Bhagavad Gita are about 7,500 years ago. The time of Mahabharata, Ramayana and the Rigved has been outlined by Nileshok as per astronomical evidence. Then we come to Rishi Patanjali, who wrote down the Ashtanga Sutras of Patanjali, and his dating goes between 500 BC to 400 CE, which is a very big gap of about nearly 600, 700, 800 years. And he was the founder of Ashtanga Yoga. Then in the 10th century we had Goraksha Sataka, and he came up with Shashtanga, which is a six-fold yoga. Hatha Yoga Pradipika, which was in the 15th century, these are all treatises on yoga, came up with the Panchanga. Gherana Samhita in the 17th century talked about Saptanga. And Shiv Samhita, which is either in the 13th to 15th century or maybe even in the 17th century, provided all these treatises on yoga and how it should be practiced. Now what happened as we come to the 20th century? The developments in the 20th century. At the start of the 20th century, Swami Vivekananda was the first one enlightened enough and able enough to propagate yoga across the masses in India and overseas. Then you had somebody like J. Krishnamurti, a very great stalwart who brought yoga, meditation and its effects to the world. You had Swami Kuvalayananda and Swami Yogendra, who started their own institutes. Kuvalayananda started the Kaivaladham Institute in Lonavala, and today it's still thriving after nearly 60-70 years of work. Then you had Swami Krishnamachari in the south, who had lots of illustrious students. The three of them which were outstanding were Indra Devi, who was a Russian lady who came and studied with Krishnamachari, B.K.S. Iyengar, and K. Pattabi Joyce, and more reference to that in a minute. Indra Devi, the Russian student, spent a lot of time, studied under Krishnamachari, then went back overseas, finally in America, and decided to publicize it to the people. And she found that as much as she knew what yoga was, to make it a public appeal and make it enjoyable for people or attractive for people to come and attend, she introduced it as a type of exercise to convince people to come and benefit. Dayanand Saraswati, who started the Bihar School of Yoga, has done some immense work with great effect. B.K.S. Iyengar, student of Krishnamachari, has actually done a lot of work in yoga. He has internationalized yoga, taken it to nearly every corner of the globe. But somewhere along the line, his followers have been looking at yoga more as exercise than just as true yoga. Iyengar also introduced the use of props for the beginners before they get to advanced level where they can slowly drop out of the props. K. Pattabi Joyce taught yoga, but he also linked it with exercise at different points in time. Dr. Bhole, who did pure research into yoga and physiology of the body, he was working with Kaivaladham for nearly 40 years, and he has done a hell of a lot of work on pranayam, the asanas, kriyas, etc., and their links to physiological changes in the body. In today's era, we have Ramdev Baba, who is popularizing yoga as a practice, and then we have Sadhguru from Isha Foundation, who is also popularizing yoga in his own way. While I was researching all these names, Panta Pratinidhi's name came up as a yogi who did fair service using Surya Namaskar. I have put his name down. He has definitely done a lot of hard work and some fantastic work. But his main aim in life was to propagate Surya Namaskar with the intention that the young people in the 20th century needed to get strong and fit to be able to fight the British whenever an uprising was called. So that was his main initiative, and he was using Surya Namaskar. Since I'm an authority on Surya Namaskar, I can definitely state that Surya Namaskar has not got any direct links with yoga. Surya Namaskar is much older and it's more a form of exercise than yoga, although it might look like it has got some yogasanas incorporated in it. Now where to today? Today's yoga. Today's yoga has got really some funny business going on as I see it. Some people love it, but I am not so accepting of it. There is something called hot yoga, where you do yoga in 40 degrees temperature, and it's supposed to be very good for the body. Then there's something called cold yoga. There's something called beer yoga. You do yoga while you're drinking a beer. So you put a pint of beer on the floor, and then you bend down and drink it and call it an asana. Okay, that's fine. Then there's nude yoga, and there's power yoga. The good old Hatha Yoga, which has been there all along. Now people are getting into curative yoga. They say we can cure this and cure that and become healers. And the last but not the least today is yoga being looked at as an exercise form. And people are referring to yoga as exercise. So now yoga is considered an exercise system and people are flocking to it as an exercise medium. For the past 50 years, this has slowly become acceptable now. Today, yoga as a sport for competitive events like the Olympics are being considered in all honesty, and not so good as far as I'm concerned regarding yoga and its potential for things other than sports. So coming back to what is true yoga? This is about taking us back to the days of pure understanding of yoga and its significance. How we can transcend today's developments and return to original Vedic concept of yoga. True yoga is about working the body towards ultimate union, clearly demarcating the difference between exercise and yoga. Yoga is about competition within oneself and not with others. So it's always a challenge whether it's a beginner practicing an asana or an accomplished yogi, because they are always fighting their own body, their personal best. I will repeat this again because this is very important. Yoga is competition within oneself and not with others. Now we'll talk a little bit about Patanjali Yoga Sutras. The first one we have selected is Atha Yoganushasanam. Now concentration is explained. Is that how they explain it? My take on this is intense concentration is essential for good yogasana practice. The next sutra, Yoga Shachitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga is restraining the mind stuff, that is the chitta, from taking various forms, that is the vrittis. I have tried to simplify it as such. The mind has to be calm and completely relaxed at all times to focus on the single task in hand. Complete focus on the whole body at all times. Tada drashtho swarupe avasthanam. At that time, that is at the time of concentration, the seer, that is the Purusha, rests in his own unmodified state. I have attempted to simplify it as such. During concentration, the seer is completely immersed in his actions, that is physical, mental, emotional, with total calmness. The next sutra, Vrittaya Pangachattaya Klishta Aklishtaha. There are 5 classes of modifications, painful and not painful. My simplification here is such. Distractions can be painful or non-painful. Some of them will be pain, fear, anger, lust, avarice, memories, thoughts, taste, smell, etc. You would have noted that they are not all painful. Some of them are pleasant, but they can still be distractions. The next sloka, it's a bit of a mouthful, but I will try. Pratyaksha anumanaha gamaha pramanani. This is about direct perception, inference, and competent evidence are proofs. Simplifying it as such, the personal ability to perceive, infer, and review evidence and learn from every aspect of life. And I think the last sutra goes something like this. This is the last that I have selected. They have got plenty of sutras. And the last slok that we have selected, Tatra sthitau yatno abhyasaha. Continuous struggle to keep them, that is the vrittis, perfectly restrained is practice. What is this practice? The attempt to restrain the mind in the chitta form, to prevent its going out into waves. Now I have tried to simplify it in my version, something like this. Practice means a continuous process of calming the mind to prevent waves of sensations evolving and distractions during the asanas. So now we are going to talk about the core values of true yoga. The first and most important core value, or every core value is important, but one of the most important, every yogasana is performed only once with all your effort. This is synonymous with life. Life does not offer a delete button. We do things only once, whether we speak, eat, act, behave, or perform. If an error is established, it is established. We cannot just erase it. We need to live with it. To help us overcome this, if every asana is performed with total dedication, focus, involvement, and commitment to the best of your ability, you will start getting into that zone. Other core values are, yoga is about total focus. Yoga is physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual focus at all times. Yogasana is performed with all your effort only once. Yoga is about slow, controlled movement with relaxed breathing. Yoga is discipline. And an interesting feature which we all must take note of, yoga has a limited 24-hour memory, like a lot of things. Yoga is making sure you're working below the sweating level. So whenever you perform any yogasana, you should not be sweating out and having a workout. It should be below sweating level. The extra values about true yoga that we should know about. Yoga is about reshaping our lives. Yoga is about changing our quality of life. Yoga is about personal growth. Yoga is self-growth. Yoga is rejuvenating your whole body. Yoga is perfectionism. Yoga is a way of life. Yoga changes your life. Don't forget, yoga has a limited 24-hour memory, like everything. Now, when people practice true yoga, people want to know what they can get back. We can guarantee for every true yoga practitioner that there are going to be guaranteed changes if they practice true yoga diligently every day and systematically. So let us look at what those guarantees can be at the physical level. So the physical changes that can be guaranteed due to true yoga are improvement in your flexibility, improved strength, improved coordination, improved control, improve sensitivity, improve balance, and improve awareness. Do not forget, yoga has to be practiced every day because it has only a 24-hour memory. What can true yoga guarantee for breathing changes? First and foremost, you learn how to breathe deep. You learn relaxed breathing. Learning to breathe in line with the movement. Increased awareness of the breath. Awareness of the location of breathing. It does not permit breathing to become excited, so you tend to be calm and breathe deep and relax most of the time. And thus, stress does not affect your breath, which means in turn stress does not affect you. And don't forget, if you have forgotten, yoga has a limited 24-hour memory, like everything. So now true yoga guarantees. What are the guarantees it can give at the mental level? It improves concentration, improves ability to focus for longer, improves memory, improves awareness of subtle mental functions, focused thinking of problem solving with no distractions, a clear mind at all times, closer to single thought focus at all times, stress-free at most times, improved ability to cope and react during stress. Remember again, yoga has a limited 24-hour memory. True yoga can guarantee emotional changes, improved control over your emotional reactions. Understanding of reality changes your behavior. So if you understand how the other person feels, the reality of the situation, you might find your behavior changes. Emotional outbursts disappear. Calm, relaxed, emotional state. Emotions do not disturb anymore. You have a sthita prajna attitude, a stress-free life, freedom from emotional entanglements. Remember, yoga has a 24-hour memory, so practice yoga every day. What can true yoga guarantee at the spiritual level? So the spiritual changes that can happen: a calmer, relaxed countenance overall, ability to judge people better, trust people, develop an attitude of swadhyaya, non-involvement, unconditional love to all, acceptance of all in reality, because you now understand what reality is. It improves your intuitive ability. It can enhance the God particle within you. You may be able to see God in every entity, living or non-living. Now, what is the scientific reality of true yoga?